Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. Glad to have you here. We're continuing our 10-part little mini-series around leveraging your entrepreneurial spirit. And if you're not a big fan of the word entrepreneurial, it takes a little practice. So go practice. So anyways, we're jumping in. This is going to be number 7, part 7 in a series of 10. A few more to go. If you haven't heard the other 6 previous to this, jump back. You'll see it on your phone or wherever you're listening, and go back and take a listen to the other ones. The idea is we just want to build this support for you as a podcaster around starting something new. Entrepreneurs start new things. They're always kind of in this mode of creation, getting an idea, following it through. And whether you are hardwired like me to just create new things all the time, or it takes a little effort, it's something you can learn, something you want to develop. These series of 10 episodes are designed to help you kind of focus in your attention on the entrepreneurial spirit, but as it relates to your podcast and your content creation dreams. And that's the focus of what we're doing here. So I'm glad you're here. Let's get into this. If you start a podcast, you're really quickly going to learn that podcasting, by nature of the medium, involves a lot of interesting things that have to happen at the same time. You have to battle limited time. You have family, a job. You're doing this maybe on the side on weekends and evenings or whenever you have a moment. Also, finances. Some of this stuff costs money, costs investment of your time and your money to do this. And even the technical expertise, like especially back in the early days of podcasting, there was a lot to learn to create a podcast. It's relatively easier than it was back 20 years ago, but there's still a lot of things we need to know and what we need to learn. That's why I created the show, the How to Podcast series, so that we can get through some of that stuff together. And while I'm always available as well to chat about what you need specifically to your show. So anytime, reach out, love to help you. Some of the most successful creators in podcasting have thrived not because of what they had when they started, but more about how they creatively used what was available to them in the moment. Go back to my favorite quote. Again, you're going to be around me more than 5 minutes. I'm going to say it. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Creators are creating podcasts where they are in the moment. They're not waiting to get everything in place and have every ounce of knowledge, every piece of technology to start their show. They're starting and they're growing as they go. That's my preference for you, is to start where you are and grow as you go. I think you'll learn more by the act of doing a podcast than you'll ever learn by studying what a podcast is and how to podcast. By cultivating a resourceful entrepreneurial spirit, podcasters can really go beyond their knowledge and go beyond what they know into the vast void of, I hope I'm doing this right. But in the meantime, we can create meaningful impact and people follow along on your journey with you. We're not expecting perfection out of you as a podcaster. We're expecting you to podcast. That's it. So some key takeaways for podcast creators when we're talking about this whole idea of being resourceful and doing more with less. I think that's the one thing we really need to focus in on here today. On one of my episodes in the past, I talked about the song Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. Now, Aerosmith in the studio came up with a unique and genius way to add an effect to the beginning of the song. So whether you're an Aerosmith fan or not, if you listen to the very first seconds of the song, you're going to hear a sugar packet. Yeah, a sugar packet. You know, like you rip open and dump in your coffee and tea? A sugar packet being shook in front of a microphone, which gave the sound of like a shaker sound. It's a bag of sugar, everybody. And it was kind of just laying around the studio and became part of the song. You can go buy an expensive shaker at your local music store and pay lots of money for it, or You can grab a bag of sugar, okay? And that's what they did, and it made it into the song. So my challenge for you is you're like, oh, should I get the $400 mic or the $1,400 mic? Rawr. I'm like, just grab a bag of sugar and let's get going here. It's not about how much your microphone costs. It's about the right mic, and use what you got. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They don't get caught up in all of this knowledge and research and let's test this for 5 years and let's have a meeting. And entrepreneurs just run with scissors like throughout life. We make mistakes. Obviously, we're going to make mistakes. But at the same time, we make way more progress than somebody sitting behind a desk reading yet another manual on how to podcast. We just go podcast. And in our innocence and sometimes stupidity, we make a lot of crazy mistakes. But guess what? We learn from every mistake and we keep moving forward. We never let that slow us down. So starting with what you have and being resourceful and doing more with less should be our approach to podcasting. We don't need to do less with more. We need to do more with less. And I think that's something we need to focus our attention on from an entrepreneurial spirit perspective, that we start with what we have and let's just get going. The first part under this is bootstrapping stories and strategies. So start where you are. That's my big challenge for you as a podcaster. Many, many podcasters began with nothing more than their phone and like a free editing software like I'm using right now, Audacity. I've never paid for it. Been using it for 20 plus years. It's like my brother. I know this platform so well. I don't even need to think twice. It's just what I use. And I will never pay for another platform because this works for me. So again, start with what you have. Do more with less. It's a free platform. It works on Apple products, which I never use, and Windows. So you can't go wrong with something that's free. Even though there's gurus who say free is a bad business model, then let's just ask them if they've ever listened to radio or been on Facebook or used Google, because all those things are, wait for it, free. So anyways, side tangent averted. I think as we start our podcast, we get way more traction from the act of moving forward than we do from just learning or gathering and amassing knowledge, equipment, and opinions and gurus and courses and certifications. That's a fun one. I'm going to be certified to be a podcaster. Ooh. You don't need any of that stuff. You need an idea, a voice, a message, and somebody you want to talk to. That's it. And you're ready to go. Start where you are. Instead of waiting for the future you're going to regret the amount of time you've wasted sitting there studying this over and over and over preparing, educated beyond your podcasting intelligence, because you just want to learn everything. It's time to start. It's starting scrappy. It's the idea that you don't have to have all the answers to get going. You just need to start. We need a minimum viable podcast, an MVP. There you go. That's what we need to start. And I get this question all the time. What do I need to start, Dave? What do I need? Well, here you go. Simple, super simple. You ready? You need a clear value statement. Like, what is this about? What's the value in this conversation, in this podcast idea? What's the value for you and for the audience? You need both. What's your compelling content? What's your take on the topic that's uniquely yours? And what is your authentic voice? Like, who are you and why would people care? The simple things like that is all we need to establish. And I can tell you, even if you feel like you don't have a voice and you don't have a story and nobody would care about you, there's people who would love to hear from you. There's people who see themselves in you. And if you don't show up for them, nobody else will. And they won't have somebody like you to bring into their life. Fancy gear, polished production can come later. Don't let perfectionism slow you down. Focus on clear value compelling content, and your authentic voice. And that's what you need to start your show. Everything else is extra. There's another part of all this that I think we need to focus in on, and that's the importance of networking and bartering as we start our podcast. In the podcast world, there are people you need to meet. I have a list of people that you should meet. These people are awesome. They have great skills, talents, abilities, great knowledge, great coaching skills. These people are just like the best people in the world. And they're not here to trick you into something. They're really here to serve. And you won't know these people until you get into the pool. That's where you're going to meet these podcasters. You're going to meet them at conventions and conferences and meetups, like the How to Podcast meetup. You're going to meet them through guesting on shows and having your guests come on your show. You're going to meet these people, but you won't meet them while you're staring at another book about podcasting. You got to start podcasting. That's when these connections are going to come up. It's all about collaboration over competition. As a podcaster, you get to leverage your network. Your network grows because you have a show. You can invite guests on who can cross-promote your show. You can swap editing and design services with another creator who's really good at it. You can exchange ad spots in your show and advertise somebody else's podcast, like this one.
Hi, this is Bill Monty, inviting you to take a talk down memory lane on the podcast Tales from South Florida, where we dive into the people, places, and events that make our corner of the Sunshine State unlike any place, anywhere. So sit back, grab your headsets, get a slice of key lime pie, and come along for the ride. Full episodes, music, videos, and more are available at talesfromsouthflorida.com. Tales from South Florida, where the stories meet the sea.
You know, that's Bill Monty, one of the nicest men you're ever going to meet in life. Like, what a voice, right? You need a voiceover for your podcast, like, hey, welcome to the show. Call Bill Monty. Bill Monty will do it for a great price. He'll help you out. He's a superhuman being, like just the nicest guy you're ever going to meet. And guess how I met Bill? By reading another book about podcasting? No. By talking to a guru about podcasting? No. By listening to a podcast about podcasting? Maybe. I met Bill because of our meetups. And Bill and I love having this guy on my screen. He just shows up and gives value. He loves and cares for people. I would trust Bill with my car keys. I would trust him with my car keys. I would. He's such a great guy. Now, again, you're not going to get these kind of connections if you just keep your head in a book reading about podcasting. You're not going to get this from a guru who charges you $2,000 to become a certified podcaster. You're not going to get that. You're going to get it by podcasting, by you getting out there and stumbling through, tripping over your own shoelaces and figuring out how to do this and doing it in community. Again, I met Bill through my meetup group. And he's a great addition. If you ever want to meet him in person, virtually, come and meet us on our meetups. You can meet Bill. He's like the best guy you're ever going to know. So you're not going to meet these people and your network's not going to grow if you don't start the podcast. So put the book down, shut off all the noise, and hit record. It's time to start. It's time to act like an entrepreneur and do action more than knowledge. Again, don't over-educate yourself on podcasting without action. It's time to start. Collaboration over competition. It happens when you get out there and put yourself out on the road with all of the other podcasters. You're going to feel really strange when people look like and sound like they've been doing this forever, like Bill, like that voice, come on. But as you meet people like that, all they want to do is pour into you. And you're not going to meet them until you start. There's another thing we can do as podcasters, it's bartering. Back in the day, you could have a chicken and I need a fence built. So maybe we trade and, you build my fence and I'll whatever. And we swap, we barter. You have something I need, I have something you need, and it's worth more to you than it is to me, whatever. So we can help each other. And in podcasting, we can do this. It goes beyond making cash with your podcast. Oh, sweet podcast cash. What if it was just help? What if it was somebody like Bill Monty who could do your intro for your show? And you could do something for Bill Monty, like help him with his social media or whatever. There's opportunities for us to work together and help each other through networking, which happens by being a podcaster, not being a student in a library reading about podcasting. this bartering thing can happen once you get into the pool and start swimming around with other podcasters. So think beyond the cash. Maybe you design graphics for another podcaster in exchange for show note help, or you swap social media posts, or I don't know, think of ideas of things that you're lacking in, that you don't have the skills, knowledge, ability, talents, technology to do, but there's someone else that does, and you could help them. Once you get into the world of networking within podcasting, you get to leverage other people's expertise and offer them something that they're looking for help with. So don't be afraid to put it out there. I need help with fill in the blank, and let people know, because there's somebody listening, watching, going, oh, gee, I could do that in 5 seconds. And maybe there's an opportunity there to grow your network as a podcaster. The next part in all of this around being resourceful and doing more with less comes down to the tools and hacks for maximizing your limited budget as a podcaster. For this show and my 8 other podcasts, guess who pays for it all? Me. I have a job, and I work my job, and I do this on my days off. And I do this because I love it. I love meeting people like Bill Monte. I like meeting people from our meetup groups. I love meeting you. And by doing this and paying for everything myself and doing all of the work myself, I'm not farming out any of my editing or any of my other stuff to anybody else. And on top of that, I do editing for other people. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of the mic. But there's some hacks around maximizing your podcast with a limited budget. I know it costs a lot of money to do this, and you could pour a lot of cash down this hole into the void when you're creating a podcast. So let's use some tools then to kind of help you to maximize your limited budget. First, recommendation roundups. Use affordable free tools like Audacity, for example, for your editing. There's Zencaster is one for remote recording. I like Zoom. That's my choice. Canva has a free plan. It's got some limitations to what you can do within the platform, but for the most part, it's pretty robust for a free platform. So think about Canva, for example. Zoom is free if you stay under a certain minute limitation for how long your meetings are. So you could host a 15, 30-minute podcast on Zoom and never pay a penny. You could have Canva for free. There's a lot of different things you can do. Calendly has a way for you to use Calendly for sure. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, so you don't have to spend a ton of money. Stay off of those app selling sites and buying things you never need. That's a waste of money, a waste of your attention, and it's drawing you away from creating your podcast. Stop buying all these tools. If you don't even have a podcast, just stop. Focus on recording and getting out there and start for free. Again, podcastforfree.com. It's my website. It's a list of all the free tools that I'm using right now in the moment that you can use also for free. And I make no money by you using these free tools because they are, wait for it, free. So you're not going to be paying me anything by using the tools that I suggest on podcastforfree.com. You can also do it yourself. And that's another part of maximizing your limited budget is you just got to learn how to do this yourself. You're like, Dave, I'm not techie. Well, you don't have to be techie. You just need to know somebody who's techie. We have a meat store, a butcher shop in our neighborhood. And the ad for their butcher shop is, if you don't know your meat, you better know your butcher. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. So if you don't know your editing, you better know an editor. If you don't know your fill in the blank, you better know somebody who knows how to do that. So by networking with people and being in community with podcasters, you're going to come across people who are really good at the things you're really terrible at. And you can connect with them and come up with a way to use their services and support each other. And if you're ever looking for help, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. Do it yourself, though, and learn from somebody. If you want to learn how to use these tools in a non-threatening, easy-to-understand way, come reach out to me. I can teach you Audacity in maybe a few sessions where you feel comfortable, where you can go and be a resource for you in the future as well as you get into little trouble spots. With the platform, happy to help because I'm in it every day. But come up with your own do-it-yourself solutions. And by doing that, you're going to save yourself a ton of money. than paying for a monthly fee for a tool you hardly use. Just learn how to do it and find somebody who can teach you. Hand slowly raising in the background. I'd love to help you with that. The last part about this would be just how we can put our resourcefulness into action. So for resourcefulness in action, the one thing we talk about is based on the book by Pat Flynn, Lean Learning. Great book, by the way. You really need to listen to it as the audiobook or buy a copy. I'd suggest both. But in there, he talks about just-in-time learning. And that's what we need in podcasting. We need just-in-time learning. You don't need to know everything about podcasting. You need to know enough to get started. And then when you hit a wall, you need to learn about that specific thing, master that, and continue forward all the time, moving forward with your podcast, never taking a break and stopping because you lack information. The information is there. There's great books. There's great resources. Through networking, you're going to come across people who know more than you do or can recommend tools and resources to you that you have no vision to. But you're not going to meet these people by not getting out there. So when I run into a snag or I run into a problem or maybe my social media game is not as good as it could be, you know what I do? I don't stop podcasting and go wallow in the corner. I invite somebody on my show who's far better at it than I am, and I get free coaching on how I can make my social media game better from an expert. Why? Because I have an active podcast. I'm not reading a book about podcasting. I'm actually podcasting. And I just bring on the people who can make my show better, and I get free coaching as a podcaster by inviting these amazing people on my show. So there's no excuse for you to not learn and grow. And if you can't afford the book, you can't afford the course, you can't afford the conference or the travel expenses, then just have them on your show. Invite them on your show and say, can I have 30 minutes with you on my podcast? I'd love to talk about your book, and I want to learn more about social media for podcasting. You don't need to even buy the book. You can just invite the author on your show and have a great conversation, bring value to the audience, and in turn, you learn something. Again, for free. And you got to meet the author of the book. How many other people at that conference had 30 minutes with the speaker from the stage? Nobody else. You did, because you invited them on your show. So you can be resourceful by simply tapping into the people that you admire. And that comes from having an active podcast. So this all hinges on you having a podcast, by the way. I don't know if you got the theme through this episode. You need to be podcasting to tap into these resources, these people, by getting out there and starting your show. That's how you're going to get there. It's going to be a lot easier if you're in motion and moving forward. The entrepreneurial spirit, aka also known as the mindset for podcasters. What does this include? An entrepreneurial spirit isn't just for business founders. It's not just for people starting big companies with tons of employees. It's not for the people who create Apple and all these other things in life. It's for you. It is for podcasters, and it means proactively seeking opportunities. To be a guest, to collaborate with others, to have a guest on your show, to grow your network, to grow your influence, and to grow your community by being proactive with your podcast. Also embracing experimentation, just going out and trying some new things, changing up the format of your show. It's always been interview, Dave. Well, maybe a solo episode would be a nice change of pace for your audience. Maybe. It's only solo episodes and never bring anybody on my show. Well, maybe you should bring on an expert because you don't know everything. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're not an expert on everything. And somebody knows more than you do, so you could probably learn a few things by having a guest. Have people on your show, try new formats, try new segments within your show. I'm doing a 10-part mini-series under the Leveraging Your Entrepreneurial Spirit. And then I go back to my regular scheduled format for this show. You can dip and dive and do all kinds of interesting things in your show. You're not bound by a single format, a single way of doing things. It's your show. Try new things. Try new segments. The other thing you can do is seeing the setbacks as stepping stones. When you do go down a path and it doesn't seem to work out for you, turn each tech failure, each mistake on the mic, everything that you're like, oh no, I can't believe I did that, into a way to update and turn around your show so that you're always learning from anything that might be considered a setback. Use these things as a unique way to connect with your audience so they see that you're a real human being. And also continual improvement, constantly improving your show. I am a firm believer that every episode of your show should be 1% better, at least, than the last time you recorded an episode. It shows growth. It shows that you're learning, you're listening back to your own show. Could those interview questions be shorter for my guest? Am I too wordy? Am I talking too fast? Am I tripping over my words like I just did? Are there things that I could drop out of my show that would make it better? And focus on the one thing and do that. And keep focusing on the next thing. Correcting as you go, course correcting. You don't just set a goal and go in that straight direction. You're always compensating for all of the outside pressures that want to push you off course. So by course correcting, you can make sure that you end up where you wanted to end up to your final destination with your podcast. Leverage your listener feedback, update your processes, and always be improving your show. When a podcaster has this mindset and they're adaptable, resilient, and purpose-driven, they build really loyal communities for their show. Their podcast evolves faster than others, and they inspire others to create and do what you're doing. They might do it as an author and write a book, and you're a podcaster, but the way you approach creativity and putting yourself out there might be the spark for somebody else to follow a similar path than you have. And that's an amazing result for having a podcast. Resourcefulness is your superpower. It fosters creativity. It helps you to build resilience, and it earns you a reputation as a problem solver, somebody who innovates, and you're always doing more with less. This will empower your audience, fellow podcasters, and everyone listening to do the same. So some actionable steps for you as a podcaster to take away from this conversation. I want you to challenge yourself to create a zero budget episode for your show. And then share the process with your audience and the lessons you've learned with your listeners. Could you create a zero budget episode for your podcast? That would mean dropping the music that you pay for, editing on a different free platform. Could you do it? You're like, your mind's spinning right now. You're like, oh my gosh. Well, maybe a zero budget episode would be an interesting attempt for you. What about hosting a roundtable with other creators about their best resourceful hacks and how they approach what they do? Maybe encourage your community to share their own stories of podcasting ingenuity or whatever the topic of your show is, and encourage them to kind of share how they do what they do in more of a collective spirit. It's what we do in our meetup groups. So we get together and support each other in community and share our best practices and things that we're struggling with. Just remember that limitations aren't roadblocks. They're launch pads. They are a way for you to deepen your creativity and strengthen your growth within your community. All of these things are available to you when you get your head out of the books, get your head out of the conferences, get your head out of the learning, and get your into action so that you move forward with your show. That's what we need, is more action, less learning. It's time to move forward. It's time to get started. You need help, reach out anytime. Leveraging your entrepreneurial spirit, resourceful by being and doing more with less. Thanks for being part of the show. Thank you so much for listening to the entirety of the episode, including this part. You know what? A lot of people leave right now. So we'll let them leave. Give them a second to go. Okay, now it's just you and me. We have our meetups that we do for the How to Podcast series. We do them during the week, and we also do them on Saturdays. So twice a week, you have the opportunity to meet other podcasters, just like you. Some people have just started. Some people haven't even released an episode yet. Some have been doing it forever. And we get together and talk podcasting. We want to help you in community to continue with your show, to start your show, to grow your show. So come and meet listeners of this show in one space on meetup.com. Again, through howtopodcast.ca, you'll see the links. It's completely free to join. Come whenever you have an opportunity to come. There's no commitment. You don't have to sign any waivers. You can just come join us. Come join the conversation. We'd love to have you there, because the only thing that's going to make these meetups better is you being there. So I'm hoping you will say yes. And you'll say, Dave, I'm tired of podcasting by myself. I wish there were people I could connect with that are fellow podcasters and share my frustrations with guests who ghost me, and my editing software is crapping out on me, and I'm just having this hard time. I'm just having a hard time coming up with podcasts, episodes, and titles, and all the things, and social media. Wouldn't it be great to get in a room with other podcasters and share best practices and learn? 3 of our 4 Saturdays every month are themed. So you have a topic, but that last Saturday of every month, it's open question and answer. Ask anything. Come meet a podcaster. Come enjoy the podcasting community through howtopodcast.ca. Come to our meetups. Can't wait to see you there.